Okay. Be'ezrat Hashem. Continuing with Perek Yud, Pasuk He. Oger Bakaitz Ben Maskil. Whoever gathers during the summer is a smart, a capable son. Nirdam Bakai Tzir, and who that sleeps during the harvest time. Ben Mevish is a disappointing, incompetent son. So the Gaon explains the maskil, the smart, the capable son is the son that doesn't only gather when things are fruitful at the time of the harvest, but even during the summer, when it's after the time of the harvest, yes, he is still motivated to see how can he gather more and more, okay, supply, produce. So the son, the capable son, is the one that has the proactivity, the desire to always grow and amass more. Not only when it comes, but even when it's hard to find, because the produce has been gathered already and harvested, right? And that is because he values little things like big things, and he understands that even if it's not the time to harvest right now, yes, but if there is a produce that we can find, yes, we appreciate that and we gather it. So it's appreciating the little things and being proactive and smart about the moments of abundance and know how to benefit from them. But the disappointing, the incompetent, the mevish, the son that dries you out, that takes away your satisfaction, is the one that even during the katsir, even at the time of the harvest, nirdam, he's asleep, he's not active, he's not engaged. So says the Gaon, that person, he sees the produce in front of him. He sees the benefits in front of him. He sees the beracha in front of him. But he doesn't engage with it. He doesn't take advantage of the moment. And says the Gaon, what is he missing? Im lo achshav matai. If not now, so when? That philosophy of if not now, then when, he doesn't have. So there is a concept that the Gaon brings out here of if not now, when. That stimulates the son, okay, to be active, to be sensitive, to gather, take advantage of the situation. Im lo achshav matai. If not now, when? And the concept of if not now, when means to understand that there is a time and there is a momentum to each opportunity. And if you don't engage with the moment, with the zman, then you miss out. Zman, right, comes from the word hazmana. It's an invitation. Time is an invitation to express yourself, to grow, to mature, yes, to build. That's the concept of time. Time is is an opportunity, it's an invitation. If you don't take care of the time now, if you don't value the time, the arshav is the moment that you live in, is a law. If you're not living the moment as ematai, when will you live the moment? Before, it's too early. After, it's too late. So it has to be now. And that philosophy, yes, Brian, you want to ask something? No. That philosophy, says the Gaon, is what motivates and stimulates a person to take advantage of situations and grow and evolve. So says the Gaon, the Ben, if you want to educate a child to be successful and not to be lazy and not to be laid back, right? Then he needs to know that the value of the moment. The Havaya, the Yudke Vavke, is come from Lashon Hove. It's the present, right? There's the Chachamim teach us that the present, the moment, is the only parameter that really exists. The future is consequential to the present, and the past is consequential to the present. There's only a past and a future because there is a present. Every moment HaKadosh Baruch Hu is rejuvenating, recreating the entire creation. Meaning the what? There is only the moment, there's nothing else. Right? If every moment HaKadosh Baruch Hu is recreating the world, then essentially the world doesn't have a past and doesn't have a future. It only has that recreation at all time. That chidush. So says the Gaon, if you don't have the ethics of value of time, of the moment, of living the moment, then you have a geder of nirdam. Then you're considered asleep. On that moment, you're asleep. You lose out. And then, even, it says Shlomo Melech, even when you have all the blessings in front of you, even when you have all the opportunities that are set in front of you, you won't benefit from them. You won't know how to grasp them. And here the Gaon takes that concept and applies it also in the Limud Torah. The maskil, the capable, the smart boy, when does he learn Torah? The intellectual, when the smart man, when does he learn Torah? B'kites. Not only when it's the harvest time, when he's strong and he's fresh. Even during the summer, when he doesn't have the kochot, when he doesn't have the full ability, when he's older, also he learns Torah. That's the benefit. That's the benefit of the value of time. Is that once you value time, every opportunity is every moment is an opportunity, and if every moment is an opportunity, it doesn't matter how much strength you have or how much capacity you have. You grasp what you can. You take what you can. I have 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. You know, my father-in-law used to finish a lot of masechtot in the time that he had to wait for somebody to come out of school and go into the car. or when he was at the train station waiting for a guest to come, or when he arrived 10, 15 minutes before shul and he had a few minutes, or when these small moments, these dead moments, he took upon himself. Okay, I'm going to have a masechet. I'm going to start. I finish when I finish. He finished many masechtot. And my brother-in-law is Zacher Letov Yosef. When we did the yortzeit of my father-in-law a few weeks ago, I think he finished Masechet Megillah or Ta'anit. And he said that was exactly, he took upon himself to take those little moments. Yeah, it's a Masechet that you can finish in a month, in a few weeks. He finished it in a year, but who cares? He gave value to those moments that we tend to dismiss completely. So the value of time, says the Gaon, in Torah, right, is tremendous. Because if you know how to value the moment when you have strength and the opportunity, then you'll value the moments when the conditions are not optimal. But the mevish, the incompetent boy, the boy that doesn't have the zits, like they say, the motivation, or that doesn't know how to value the value of time, okay, that doesn't understand how important time is. Afilu bekatzir, even in the time of harvest, even in his youth, when he's strong, when he's focused, when he has the ability, and he can learn, he's going to choose to waste time. And he says, Oger, the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat goes through the process of how to make bread, right? From the moment you plant seeds all the way until you have a loaf of bread on your table. He says the period of Oger are referred in the Sefirot as the Mohin. Right? The one that gathers, the one that values time, the one that is stimulated, is because he lives a life with Mohin, with Chokhmah, Binah, and Da'at. Kotzer u'me'amer, to cut the wheat, yet and to dry it so that you can take out the grains. That's the actual da'at. Right? Because on one hand, you're gathering the produce, but you're drying it to take out the grain, right? So it's opposite efforts. One is to gather the produce, and the other one is to take out the grain. And what is da'at? Da'at is the balance between the chokhmah and the binah, to gather chokhmah and binah to differentiate what you're learning. So that's the da'at. So he says the maskil, the chacham, the intellectual, the capable boy is the one that understands that how to make the left the right and the right the left. That is a bar da'at. That understands that he knows how to take chokhmah and use his bina to understand his chokhmah, right? And inject his bina with chokhmah. So he juggles between the kochot. That's what da'at is about. So the more you develop da'at, says the Gaon, and the more you bring sensitivity to the concept of the moment, the concept of time. And this stimulates the desire to take advantage of that opportunity. So when that's what the da'at stimulates. So to see a child, a boy that is engaged and that is active and that values moment, right, is a proof that his da'at is growing, that his da'at is vibrant. When you see a child that wastes time, that doesn't value time, that shows laziness, that means that his da'at is not developed enough. And he says, essentially, depending on how much you develop that these kochot in your chokhmah, in your binah, and how you apply it in your da'at, you develop two types of talmidei chachamim, two types of mind. One mind, he says, is like the mind of Rashi. That writes pirushim. Rashi is mehadesh, right? He writes a pirush that's not written. It's the ability to bring out from the ketav, to bring out from what is written, a meaning with clarity that can be understood by all. That's the mind of Rashi. That is the binah. And then you have like the Rosh. The Rosh, what did the Rosh do? The Rosh gathered information from the Gemara and gave the halacha. He gave the psak din. The Gaon is being, he's saying things that require depth. Our intellect, our mind, we don't realize, but subconsciously behave a certain way. Or it behaves in a osef, in a way of gathering. You gather information and you put a puzzle together. Or you're a Baal Mechadesh, or you're Mechadesh, or you're able to extract information from another information that hasn't been exposed, that hasn't been said. And says the Gaon, it's very important to understand which mindset you have, because if you understand what your mindset is like, then you know if you are stronger in the binah or stronger in the chokhmah. Are you more of gathering or are you more about mehadesh? Do you take out information or you just gather information and put the puzzle together? And depending on the intellect that you have, if you want to develop your da'at, then you'll know on what to put a little bit more in emphasis, so that you create that yamin that is small and small, that is yamin, that right that becomes a left, and that left becomes a right. That is the effort that stimulates the power of the da'at, in order to have a da'at that gives you the opportunity to value time and every moment in your life, no matter in which situation you are in. Because we always freeze, at least I'm talking for myself, yeah? When there's a challenge, you freeze. And there's a hard time it takes a lot to snap out and go back and actually value the moment, every moment. It's difficult. It's difficult. Why is that? Because we don't have enough equilibrium in the power of our dad between the chokhmah and the bina, between the gathering of the information, being a puzzle, yeah, mind, and being a bal mehadesh, someone that knows how to extract information. This also helps us, these parameters helps us identify, okay, how to approach and help our children. Is the boy someone that knows how to put puzzles together? And that's what he's very good at, putting information together and taking out the din, like the Rosh? Or is it someone that's always mehadesh, with brilliant ideas, things that weren't spoken about, that he picks up on, and depending on that, then oh, his strength is chokhmah, his strength is bina. Now let me tap into something else. So the Baal Mechadesh, you're going to stimulate him with puzzles, and the Baal puzzle, you're going to try to get him to stimulate him to come and bring out his own hidushim, so that he can tap into that koach and learn to develop that equilibrium between the two, because this is what yields the sensitivity and the awareness of the value of time. And באמת, you see it by Talmidei Chachamim. For example, if you see Chacham Ovadia, the books of Chacham Ovadia, he gathers thousands of sources and brings you the halacha. And then you have Reb Chaim Mibrisk or the Briskerov or other minds that they don't gather so much information, but they bring out hidushim niflaim from the information that they have. Now, you will always find that there is a tendency, there is an inclination that is stronger in one direction than the other. So you have to value that. You just have to learn to stimulate the other koach that is being pushed aside by the instinct. Are we clear? Because these are yesodot chazakim. Next pasuk vav. Yes.
Sorry, can we just go back for 1 second when you spoke about the oger and the mochin? What is oger, and what
oger is the one that gathers, right?
He's
Oger
collecting.
bakait ben maskil. The oger is the one that gathers, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ma'agar. It comes from the mochin, and the one that and he says that's where the power of gathering is, which means that's where the sensitivity of time comes from, right? Because he's only sensitive to time because he has the ability to gather and he understands it, right? So then he breaks it down. He says you have the chokhmah and the bina and the da'at is the oger. But where does it happen, right? It happens in the da'at. Specifically because the da'at has those two contrasts that coexist. The chokhmah, which is to gather, and the bina, which is to discern. And that's kotzer u'me'amer. Yeah,
Yeah. So cutting, that's cutting and drying.
that's right.
And that's using which element? That's using the bina?
That's the chokhmah and the bina within the da'at. Within the da'at.
Thank you.
Berachot lerosh tzaddik. The blessings are on the head of the tzaddik. Ufi reshaim yechaser hamas. And the mouth of the reshaim, of the wicked, of the rasha, yechaser hamas is covered with hamas, with lawlessness, without any laws, without any din. The Gaon says the following: the tzaddik. What does it mean? Brachot lerosh tzaddik is on top of his head. That's what's important to the tzaddik. What's important to the tzaddik? Berachot. And how do you know that berachot are important to the tzaddik? Because he blesses everybody. The tzaddik by nature will bless everyone. The guy, he gives bracha. So that's what's on top. That's what's on top of his head. Tov ayin yevarach. Al tikre yevorach la yevarech. Right? Somebody that has a good eye is blessed. What does it mean, blessed? Don't say he's blessed, it's like he blesses. And that's what you give when you birkat hamazon to tov ayin. Somebody that has a good eye, you want him to give you a blessing because he blesses with a good energy. The tzaddik by nature, his inclination is to give blessings. Because the brachot, the concept of bracha by the tzaddik, that's what's on top of his head. That's what he thinks about. It's all about the bracha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So if you see bracha anywhere, then you'll bless anybody. Because that's the subject that's on your head all the time. However, Pi Reshaim, but the mouth of the Reshaim, Yechaseh Hamas, he covers himself with lawlessness, with Hamas. What does it mean? He covers himself with dirt, with lashon hara, with motzi shem ra, with bad words. So yechaseh, he covers himself because these are stains, right, that stick to the nefesh, to the person, and doesn't go away. Cursing, klalot. And who is the Hamas? Who is the Hamas? Gezel, someone who steals. So he uses manipulative languages to steal. Meharef, megadef, he speaks bad about he speaks impudic words. Says the Gaon, and what is mechaseh Hamas? Why is mechaseh? What does he cover himself? Because usually when you, what are you doing? You're talking about someone, right? So you threw the arrow. Once you take mud and you throw it on somebody else. When you talk bad about somebody, you take mud and you want to make him dirty. But what does Shlomo HaMelech says? Who at the end gets dirty? Who gets covered with the dirt? The person that spoke bad, right? So says the Gaon, that means that the bad speech and the bad behavior at the end comes back as a klala on the person himself. So the guy spoke bad, cursed somebody else. That curse is actually effective on himself. And the Gaon says, why does Akadosh Baruch does Shlomo HaMelech, right, speaks about the tzaddik and his head and about the rasha in his mouth? Because the tzaddik, his mind is the tzaddik always lives in the mahshava, in the thought. He's very careful that his thought process is clean, is clear, right? He's in the mohin. He understands that everything starts in the mohin, in the head. So when there's a mahshava tova, when there's a good thought, Akadosh Baruch Hu misarfa lema'aseh. The second you have a good thought and you start from the starting point, which is the moach, you allow Akadosh Baruch Hu's involvement in the action that comes from that mahshava. So you have a good thought, and you understand that you need to think before you act, and you think bechokhmah, with the chokhmat Torah, you use your chokhmah, your binah. Says the Gaon, when you use that, you infuse Hashem Akadosh Baruch Hu's siyata dishmaya, so that the end result, the action is blessed. It's not blessed by you. Akadosh, there is in your action Akadosh Baruch Hu. It's super deep. And he says this is machshava tova metzarech Akadosh Baruch Hu lemaaseh. When you have a good thought, Akadosh Baruch Hu includes it in an action. Meaning, his twist is that no, in the Akadosh Baruch Hu is in the action of the good thought. And he says, if that's the case, when Shlomo HaMelech says berachot lerosh tzaddik, that the brachot of the tzaddik are on top of his head, he says, based on what we just said, the moment you think in your mahshava to bless, you are blessed. Because now HaKadosh Baruch Hu is inside the mahshava. So essentially, the more you think of blessing and the more you are blessed. However, the Rasha, that's why the tzaddik, we talk about the head. But the Rasha doesn't focus on his head. Doesn't think about the thought. He thinks about hurting. He thinks about manipulating. He thinks about abusing. That's the Rasha. His focus is not in his head. His focus is how do I take away from that person, the Hamas. So where is their focus? Their focus is in their mouth. Because it's through their mouth that they can manipulate, hurt. So the tzaddik, where does he belong? He belongs in his head. Yes? And the Reshaim, they belong in their mouth. Which is also a very important thing to think about. What stimulates your interaction with the person? Is it your words or is it your mind? If it's your mind, then you know that in that interaction, you're a tzaddik. If it's your mouth, to her, to that, then you know that you just shifted. So you have to always be very careful and aware of from where the power of interaction comes from within me in that interaction. Is it just the words that are coming out, or is it coming from the mind? When a person is upset, when a person is angry, he doesn't control his words. It's the mouth that talks. And then after that, he feels bad. Why? Because he loses the mohin, right? The mohin, mistalkim, chokhmah bina v'adat, disconnect from the person. What is left? It's his mouth. But the person that has yishuv adat, right? It doesn't matter how much you poke him, he's going to be careful with what he says. So he says the Gaon, look how careful Shlomo HaMelech is. When he talk about the tzaddik is in his head. So the tzaddik is singular. Berachot lerosh tzaddik, right? Because it's him and himself. But when you talk about the rasha, it's plural. Upi reshaim yechaseh hamas, because the rasha needs to speak to someone else, and it's about others. Another factor that what stimulates you, if you're stimulated and you need others, and you talk about others, and this is what what matters are others, what matters are others, then you're drifting towards the definition of the rasha. But when it's you and yourself in the mohin, then you know that it's not about others, it's about you. Then you know that you're in control. Then you're on the side of the tzaddik. Okay. Then the Gaon addresses Al Pi Hasod, what does Berachot lerosh tzaddik means? But this is maybe I'll start with it next shiur, because it's a little bit in his one or two introduction. I'll go back bli about this, but I want to continue if you have a few more minutes. Pasuk Zayin, because it's very appropriate to what we're learning. It's a continuation, and I think also it's one of the psukim that everybody knows. Zecher tzaddik livracha, right? The name, the remembrance of a tzaddik is always blessed. The Shem Reshaim Yerkav, and the name of the wicked rottens, will always rotten. Says the Gaon, the tzaddik, we said, is always blessed. Why? Because what's on top of his head? Beracha. And when he thinks about beracha, he's being blessed. So says Shlomo HaMelech, even when the tzaddik is not there, but you remember the tzaddik, or you mention his name, the thought of the tzaddik and the name of a tzaddik have been imbibed so much with beracha that when you think or you say the name of the tzaddik, you awake that beracha. That's why he says zecher, even if he's not here. He's gone. Generations gone. But it's enough to tap into a thought or remembrance to awake of that beracha of the tzaddik. This is the whole concept of, right, the hilulot and the tefillot about the tzaddikim. And this is livracha. The vracha is not only then. The vracha is today. It's continuous. It's continuous. The bracha is today. Yes, he is meaning he infused himself with so much beracha as being a tzaddik that it's enough that you mention his name later or you think about him later, yes, that triggers the same beracha that he brought down. However, the Reshaim, even their name, forget about their actions, even their names, is rotten. But even after they're die, even their name they're cursed. Meaning when you say the name of a Rasha, yes, you lo alenu, the same way he brought upon himself the kisui, right? The klipot, the dirt that he covered himself with. You say the name of a Rasha that brings the same kelala, the same curse. And says, why, like he said earlier in the psukim before, the tzaddik is praised by his proactive action, that mizvat aseh. The rasha, well, it's not because he doesn't do aseh, he doesn't do the mizvot aseh, it's because he transgresses the law aseh. So he says this is very good with the concept of zecher and the concept of shem. Because zecher, milashon zachar, ze mizvot aseh. Shem, ze lo ta'aseh. Like the pasuk says, ze shemi le'olam, veze zichri ledor dor. Shemi, כן? זה שמו של הקדוש ברוך הוא י"ה. So if you do shemi with י"ה, it's gematria shasa, shasa gidim, right? The shasa averot. Vezichri, if you take the word zichri, you following me? With the vavhe, that's gematria ramah. 248, the 248 mitzvot aseh. Again, zichri, yes, which is what? 237. If you add the vav 11, 248. Shemi is 350. If you add 15, 365. Shasa. Ramah hevajim is shasa gidim. Right? The Ramah means the 248 mitzvot aseh and the 365 mitzvot lo ta'aseh. So there's zichri. Right? When we talk about the tzaddik, we talk about the mitzvot aseh that he does. And when we talk about the rasha, we talk about the shemi, about the lo ta'aseh that he does also. This is why when you praise the tzaddik, you praise the tzaddik based on his proactive actions of aseh. And when you despise the rasha, you despise the rasha because of his behavior of transgressing the lo ta'aseh. So he's focused on the shem. The rasha is focused on doing the shem, right? The mizvot lo ta'aseh. And the tzaddik is focused on the zecher.
Rabbi, sorry. Can you go back? What is the gematria connection to the?
The Gaon say, why does Shlomo HaMelech uses zecher for the tzaddik and shem for the rasha?
Got it.
So he brings the pasuk.
48 and 365.
He brings the pasuk, right? The pasuk says it's the pasuk in Shemot. Ze shemi le'olam, veze zichi ledor dor. This is my name forever, and this is my remembrance for every generation. So he says like the shemi, my name, which is the same word used for the rasha, shem, right? Shemi is 350, sorry. You add the yud he, which is the yirat Hashem, right? Yud and he is the mohin, is the yirat Hashem, yirat haromemut. Right? You get to 365, right? You need the yirah to protect yourself from the averot. But vav he is what? Ze chasadim, and the malchut is the action, right? Chesed gvura tifer netzach hod yesod and malchut. Vav he. If you take zichri, which is 237, and you add the action of the vav he, which is 11, you are 248. Ramach. And that's the 248 mitzvot aseh. right? So says Shlomo HaMelech, when it comes to the tzaddik is praised because of his actions of aseh. The rasha is despised because of the transgression of the lo ta'aseh. When a guy doesn't do mitzvot aseh, but he doesn't do averot, he's not called a rasha, right? The rasha is the one that does averot. So essentially, the yesod that Shlomo HaMelech is coming to teach us is nifla. The Gaon says is that depending on the tzaddik or the rasha, you bring by mentioning their name or thinking about them, right? Their aura, or you bring their beracha or lo alenu their kilala. This is what me. Zer tzaddik ukadosh livracha. Rav Moshe Shapira alav shalom would never say the name of the mentor or Alexander Mogdon, which we all know. Okay, why? Because of that, he would not the name of Reshaim he would not say ever. It is very careful. We have to be very careful. Like even when you're in conversation, Imach Shemam, okay, Imach Shemo v'Shem Zecho, the Rashi Tevot, Imach Shemo v'Shem Zecho, yeah. That name is coming out like, so we have to be very careful not to say not to say these names, because the second you say the name or you thought about them or you automatically you bring upon yourself tumah. And the other way around, when you say Shemot Shel Tzaddikim, you say the name of Tzaddikim, you bring upon yourself Kedusha, you bring their beracha. Here, Meforash, Shlomo HaMelech, people that want to say Gula for brachot, just say the name of Shemot Shel Tzaddikim. Now this explains the grandmothers, they used to light candles. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes, Rabbi Abba, Rabbi Baba Saleh, Rabbi Chaim Pintor, Rabbi Yaakov Bechsera. Where all this come from? That's where it's come from. You say the name, you think about them, boom, you connect to the berachot. My father tremendous Talmid Chacham, and all his day was fully focused on Chesed and Limud Torah. He wouldn't leave the house if he didn't light I don't know how many candles of tzaddikim. And we just say the name of the tzaddik, ta 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 ta. You infuse yourself with berachot and you go out. Minhag tov, minhag tov, minhag tov. Every morning before you leave home, you have the candles ready. It doesn't have to be even tea light candles, light Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Meir, the tzaddikim that you connect to. And you go, and you have with you the berachot of all the tzaddikim. Meforash, right? A segula from Shlomo HaMelech. טוב, בעזרת השם, בשעה טובה ומוצלחת. So we just did pasuk zayin, bli neder. Maybe I'll come back to pasuk vav with the portion that they're gonna address. Maybe.
Beautiful.
Any questions?
This is fantastic.
Oh Hashem.